Hello, chat. We have a new thing for Pesto. we got a thing that where you can like hang a dog and like be able to clip his toenails easier. So we kind of bought that, and he's just accepted his fate.
Little guy has been tormented.
Let me like actually hold him now, so that way he's not like truly traumatized.
You need to destimulate him from anyway, so.
Thank you. All right, chat. Now I have dog, proper dog, and I don't have the music on either. So you guys are just gonna have to deal with my voice, which oh no, scary. Pesto is staring at the microphone. Pesto, did you want to perchance say something? There you go. Oh no, there. Want to say something to the fine people out there? Be a roof. Be a roof. A bork. I don't think he wants to bork at you guys. Yeah, I think he wants freedom. There you go. There you go. He's just staring at the door. He I think he's done with me. I think the dog is done with me. Rock-a-bye Pesto on the treetop. Are you just done with me? He just gave me the nastiest side eye for doing that. Alright, I'm putting you down. I'm putting you down. Here you go, Pesto. Okay. He just gave me the nastiest side eye there was for blowing in his ear. Okay, anyway, well, I'm just very curious. I wanted to see what this sounded like. Very good. Very, very good. Okay. Oh, that was fun. Let me get this ready. How many coin mints tonight? A mountain of coin mints. For sure. We don't know how many coin mints, just an amount of mints that are coins. So let me go and get everything set up. Then I'll say hello to everyone in chat. All right, let's open up all the games. I'm not sure if the volume's on or not. We're about to find out together. I can't remember if I turned off the music. Okay, here we go. Why is this so loud? Ow. I'm turning it off for you guys. It's so loud. It's so loud. Why is it so loud? Okay. Okay, I think I fixed it. For some reason, the volume for everything decided it wanted to it wanted to become max again. So that was fun. That was very fun. Oh, I gotta turn off this so I get the extra little space. All right, there we go. Wait, did my settings get reset? WASD's. Wait, this is arrow keys. What the Why are all my settings reset? My content packs are on. Why are my settings reset? Okay, I gotta fix this then. No, I don't think my computer updated today. There's no reason why my computer updating would cause that to happen. Alright, I think we're good. So let me get rid of all of these again. And then we'll reset the other games. Yeah, I'm not sure why Toontown decided to reset, but weird. It should be fine though. An extra second. I don't know what caused all this to happen. Oh no, the music's on. Alright, cool. Alright, Pesto's back in my room. As for what he's doing, the world may never know. Alright, cool. I think we're back to what we were doing before. Yeah, we are. Okay, cool. so let me get into position here, and we shall begin. All right, Fizzle Field. Not Uber Ball. You want to go to Fireball. There you go. Fireball, 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 Fireball. Fireball, go down into the Coin Mint. And now we begin. Chat, let me say hello to you real quick, and then we'll begin. Let me also just spam invite everyone to go into the correct district. Alright, cool. Alright, let me say hello to everyone, chat, and then we'll actually properly begin. We have Random in first. Welcome in, Random. Hope you're doing good. Cowboy in second. Cowboy, hope you're doing good. Freckle Slam with a 15 stream streak. Thank you so much for the support, Freckle. We have... Wait. Oh yeah, we have Freckle in third. Welcome in, Freckle. We also see Cowboy here. Welcome in, Cowboy. Wait, am I saying that Cowboy's in second? Cowboy, I'm not used to you being in second. How could you? Fuck Ohio. I agree, Ned. For no reason in particular. Okay, I think we're good. I think that's everything. Oh my god, I have to do that again. Yes, I know I am going to die according to the game. There we go, turn off laugh warnings. Yeah, I don't know why my settings got reset. I didn't do anything weird. In fact, my settings were normal like an hour ago, and I have not turned off or reset my PC. Get my setup. Cool. Alright, cool. We're all good. Chat, how do you feel about watching more random long-form Toontown videos in the middle of the screen? Because I kind of had fun doing it yesterday, I'm not gonna lie. Who's gonna be the lucky person to supply us with a Toontown-related long-form video? Becca, thank you. Thank you for the resub. Hope you're doing good, Becca, even though I can literally probably have you hear exactly what I'm saying because I didn't close the door, so you can most certainly hear what I'm saying right now, both in stream and in real life. I can hear you. Hi, Becca. Get this guy is resituated here. Hey, White Cat. Freckle, what video do we have here? The story of Toontown rewritten. You know what? Why not? I'm very curious. Also, I'm gonna close my door. Or, you know what? I think I know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna do this mint normally, and then in the intermission between mints, I'm going to make popcorn, and then we'll watch the long form video. So chat, this is your warning right now to make yourself some wonderful popcorn, because we're gonna be watching some long form videos while we mindlessly do coin mints. do Toontown Iceberg. You can send me a link to the Toontown Iceberg. I'd be down. You should. I will give you a hug if you send it to me. Angels is calling you out. Angels is straight calling your ass out. The green cat. Oh yeah, Anthony. Yeah. Remember the Slay the Spire Toontown game, the AI one? Anthony is the one that made a big comment about that, and then it got taken down. Was the comment controversial? No, it wasn't fuck. It wasn't controversial. It was just Anthony calling out the choices and the AI art. Get out of here. Yeah, it was something. Hold on, do I have the AI art? Yes, sky blue cat. Hello, Matt. Consume water, I got you. I shall consume water. Water is consumed. Matt, aren't you streaming? Listen, Matt does this every single day. I'm not even surprised. He comes to my stream strictly to tell me to drink water and to lurk. Angels, are you live right now? You better not be live. Good, because you were streaming for like what, 12 hours? You do not need to be streaming more. I'm at the end already. Goddamn. Imagine being live when Danny is live. No, it's perfectly fine for other people to stream while I'm streaming. I am not the most popular. No one has to drop anything to watch me. Alright, so when I beat the boss in dance, I'm gonna go make my popcorn and refill my water. I doubt I'm gonna get any shoes this run. So we're good. We're good. Yeah, no shoes. We won't be getting any shoes. What are shoes? I don't know what shoes are. Danny will remain dripless. That I will be dripless. There is no drip to be had here. we got 10's active, so we do that, and cake mid. Alright, I'm gonna go make popcorn. I'll be right back. There's no drift. Chad, did I get shoes? No shoes? I'm gonna refill my water. Okay. I'm back. Who is this dog? Uber. I agree. Yes. Uber. Make me proud. I don't know who this person is. I don't have bow, so delighted. I think we're in Fizzle. Yeah, we are Fizzle. Quiver Ball. Uber Ball. Uber Ball. Alright, we'll watch the history of Dr. Surly, and then we'll watch the giant iceberg. So let me get that up real quick. Alright, cool. Or well, Toontown Rewritten story, I should say, not just Dr. Surly's story, but let's be real, they're one and the same. Alright. Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen a Loopy Goopy G video. God, I get chills. Alright, let me go grab my popcorn bag. It just beeped. Welcome in, Trippy. How you doing? Hope you're well as usual. Pesto wants my popcorn. Someone save me.
So first off, I want to thank Jake for going out of their way to organize literally everything, as it's a ton of resources to organize and it must have been quite the undertaking. So thank you again, Jake. There will be more at the end of this video and a link in the description. So, TTR's storyline shifts around a lot, and it is spanned throughout a long period of time. Do you want to know what happened? Well, in order for you to find out, we're gonna have to go all the way back.
2013. I was a little okay. I was 7. I was 6. I was 5. I was 4. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I wasn't even born
Well,
yet.
Here we are, the beginning of Toontown.
I wasn't even a thought.
1998. The neighborhoods are built, Toons move in, and everything is harmonious.
I don't think any of us
Things
was
go
a
on
thought.
as expected until 2002. The story focuses on Gyro Gearless,
2002,
the
okay.
inventor and mind behind many of Toontown's contraptions, such as the laugh meter, the portable
Wait, he
holes,
made
and the
everything?
super duper air conditioner that accidentally set off the everlasting blizzard in the Berg. He's a smart mind with many great ideas, and he's been asked to help take part in the Toon Council presidential election coming up next year between Flippy and Slappy. A lot to look forward to for all Toons. He invents camera bots for the elections and even notices a sense of silliness being given off from the candidates' podiums, thinking about how they could possibly harness such a thing. Finally, on April 19th, 2003, the day has come.
The
It's
popcorn's
time
ready.
to go see the election results live, and Gyro heads off to watch the election. Enter Scrooge McDuck. He visits Gyro's lab, finds an unfinished robot inside, and decides to activate it. The robot comes to life using Gyro's manufacturing machine to create tons of cogs who fly off to invade Toontown. The election, meanwhile, underway as this happens, comes to the final announcement. Slappy wins the election for president of the Toon Council. But down comes one of those cogs from the machine in Gyro's lab. He takes
They couldn't
Slappy
even
and
kill level
swarms
3.
of cogs invade the playground. Toons fight for their lives to fend off the cogs. Toontown is locked down to prevent Toons from danger. Nobody knows where these cogs came from. June 2nd, 2003, Toontown is finally allowing Toons back into Toontown. Gyro Gearloose makes his way back to his lab, but it's not the same anymore. It's overtaken and swarmed with cogs. They've even taken his blueprints and repurposed them, turning the camerabot design he had created for the elections into security goons. Gyro decides he can't take it anymore. With the guilt of everything overcoming him, he decides to leave. Before the truth comes out, Gyro
Pepper
heads
might
off
die.
to an unknown location, only writing down that he'll someday save Slappy. From this point on,
Okay,
the
never mind,
events
it's
of
level
Toontown
8.
go by just as normal. The Cog HQs are discovered, Toons keep fighting, and the battle between Toons and Cogs rage on. February 2009, the team known as Cake begins research for undocumented matter and particles. Using some of Gyro's research, they found detailing his portability design as the basis for their findings. Eventually, by April, discovering a variety of particles, each having their own properties, most notably silly particles. The more silly particles there are, the wackier things get in Toontown, leading them to believe that's what could drive
The
the cogs
animated
back once and for all.
fire
All of a
hydrant.
sudden, shortly afterwards, there's a document found written in which Gyro writes that he's returned. It's been 6 long years. Finding that his lab is now a skyscraper, a center for cog business for the Cog Nation. He did learn where Slappy was a few years back, stating though that by the time he found it, it was too late. The Cogs didn't find him valuable anymore. He was erased. Toons don't see what's happening,
Erased?
but eventually Cogs will
Wait,
do
is
the same
Slappy
to them
dead?
as they did to Slappy. Gyro in all this time has come up with a few new experiments, including one called the Rewritten device that allows one to change nearly everything about a toon. He's heard about Looney Labs starting up and he feels as though maybe his silly meter will finally be constructed. The main experiment, though, is whether or not he can fix what happened 6 years ago. Signing off the document with the text, "My name is Gyro Gearloose and today my story is rewritten." In June 2009, the Silly Team is formed to experiment with the previously found particles while the Cake Team continues to categorize them. The Silly Team, consisting of Dr. Dim, Professor Papastra, and a newly hired scientist by the name of Dr. Shirley. Dr. Fishington of the Cake Team starts to become suspicious of Dr. Shirley. Nobody knows where he came from, he never saw him smile, and he often took time off after hours to work in his private lab. Over time, Dr. Fishington's suspicion keeps rising. Eventually, he visits Shirley's lab and finds him quickly hiding a project he had on his desk, a spherical device the size of a pocket watch.
Not the
Shirley
Drake
had
and Josh
claimed it was a
reference.
new prototype for the Silly Meter, a device to track the silliness throughout Toontown. But Fishington noted that he was previously told the prototype stages for the Silly Meter wrapped up weeks ago. Fishington decides he has to find that drawer where Shirley put the device. Not much later that month, Shirley signs out early one day. Fishington, noticing this, stays behind and decides to do some research in Shirley's lab. He begins to search through Shirley's desk, finding blueprints, but something's off about them. They're all signed by Gyro Gearloose. How does Shirley have them? Gyro's been missing to all Toon's knowledge for years now,
Yep.
and Shirley only turned up a few months ago. Confused and shocked, Fishington is ready to get to the bottom of this. But just as he's ready to head out, he notices something. The Silly Meter blueprints, signed by Gyro Gearloose. It just doesn't make sense. How does Shirley have all of Gyro's work, especially with him having been missing all of these years? Poring through the documents and folders stored, he finds so much confusing information. A playground evacuation plan, noting that it doesn't even make sense as no invasion like that has happened since the election invasion 6 years ago. Plans for 1998 to 2003, these plans were extremely outdated. If they were a to-do list, then Shirley's way behind. These plans are building schematics for a Toontown called Toontown Rewritten. Fishington fears he
Name
stumbled
drop?
upon something far greater than he ever could have imagined. That Dr. Shirley wasn't Dr. Shirley, but that Shirley was actually Gyro Gearloose. He finds blueprints for the Rewritten device, a design so advanced that only a toon like Gyro could be capable of designing it. It's not like the other blueprints. It looks like the pocket watch he saw Shirley hide a few weeks ago. He opens the drawer Shirley stuffed it in and finds the device, but it doesn't look exactly like the one in the blueprints. It looks like a really early prototype. But all of a sudden,
Is it the
the hands on the watch start
Okay,
getting
yeah.
faster.
I know
the
this
room
part.
Flickers.
I know
The
this
walls
part.
outside crumble, everything speeding up, watching the construction of Toontown whiz before him, seeing every single event
Was
that
it turned like
occurred
a
in
red
Toontown
cat or
around
something like
him
that, or
go
like
by.
a different
He
dude?
was ripped out of time. And then it stops. But Fishington notices something strange. He realizes that he's been split into two toons, a blue dog and a red
Yep.
cat, a rewritten form of himself. The blue dog is Fishington's original form, but since the past can't be replicated perfectly, the red cat is a rewritten version of himself. The two realize that they're on their own timeline now, while Toontown still continues on its own clock. They realized the prototype of the pocket watch had an imperfection. It was unstable. The two, as they were called, planned to continue research and to warn Shirley of the anomalies they foresee happening on the 26th. Things in the normal timeline go on as normal, and Shirley finally finishes the pocket watch design, sending himself back in time to 1998, causing a ripple effect throughout the timeline,
Watching
creating
long-form
differences that
Toontown
happen throughout
videos
the
while doing
timeline on the
mints.
26th. Now in 1998, Shirley attempts to intervene and change the course of Toontown history that Toontown previously had set out on, but his influences only caused the events to happen even faster than before, such as helping to approve Sir Max's Trolleybots concept, believing they had the potential to save the Toons from doomsday, only for the Trolleybots to then become corrupted and become the cogs themselves. The elections come again, and Slappy once again goes sad. Scrooge doesn't attend the election, Slappy is gone again, and both are reported missing as they originally were in the original timeline.
When you first
Toontown's history starts continuing relatively similar to its original timeline, with some events on the 26th occurring differently, such as Shirley going against teleportation restrictions and causing Toons to discover Lawbot headquarters. Another key thing changing from the anomalies on the 26th is Bossbot HQ. Its design and the executive office were new and unlike their original timeline counterparts. Dr. Shirley buries himself inside his lab after these occurrences happen. Eventually, Dr. Shirley, still constantly deep in his work in his lab, begins to realize that all these anomalies occurring on the 26th have to be related to him traveling back to 1998 on the 26th specifically. He realizes now that the two who have been constantly reaching out to him causing anomalies may be able to help him. He creates an announcement about LooneyLabs.net, the main website where all Looney Labs activities are stored, in order to create an anomaly to try and contact the two. Eventually, the Toons of Toontown Rewritten catch on to these anomalies, eventually cracking the case and figuring out Shirley's true identity, his name fully and finally being revealed as Dr. Shirley Gyro Gearloose. The Toons also fully uncover
Shirley
Gyro,
oh my god,
and everything else in between. Dr. Fishington returns in both forms publicly not long afterwards, explaining to Toons that through everything they've gone through, they've been able to study silly particles and make many discoveries outside of the timeline. With this, they'll be able to use their knowledge to put together a final plan.
That's the entire pun.
Bring Toontown to silliness levels near never reached.
I didn't realize at all.
One day, Professor Preposterous notices a fire hydrant attempting to dance. This sparks hopes of potentially getting Dr. Shirley out of his lab. The Fishingtons return again, announcing that silly particles have begun scattering all over Toontown. These particles only being visible temporarily due to a new formula they've created. This news catches wind of Dr. Shirley, and he finally comes out of his laboratory to study this fire hydrant and the silly particles, asking Toons to bring as many as they can to him to study. Toons everywhere begin collecting these particles, driving them in bunches to Dr. Shirley for him to study, eventually collecting exactly 2.6 million. With these silly particles having been collected, Dr. Shirley goes and...
I'm just gonna pause this for a second. I thought his name was, Surly, and I was confused why he was calling him Shirley, thinking, okay, maybe it's a different pronunciation, fair enough, not realizing that it's quite literally just the entire pun of his name. Also making some changes to a personal instance of Toontown Line offline versus Toontown School or via Toontown School. Yeah, what are the changes, Leon? But also, wait, you fucker! Get up under there. Apparently, I dropped one popcorn thing and Pesto like a shark. It's not gonna kill him, but I thought he was about you. This goofball.
It's the location of the Fishingtons, the new Toon Hall. There, the Fishingtons explain to the Toons what the final plan is, to end the anomalies on the 26th and the ripples that have happened throughout the timeline. To do this, they must create something new, something unwritten in either timeline, something that brings the silliness levels of Toontown up to levels they have never seen before. The Fissiontons announced they're working with Dr. Shirley directly to create a new silly meter, one that will hopefully put an end to the anomalies. And from there, the final plan is put into action. And until the silly meter comes out very soon, that's where the storyline ends. Of course, more will happen, more story will unfold, and hopefully we'll see just what this final plan is. One thing we know is for certain, however, is Slappy was confirmed by Dr. Shirley to still be alive in this timeline.
Oh,
and that
okay,
someday,
he's alive.
somehow, we'll get him back and finally fix and put an end to all of the biggest wrongdoings of Gyro's inventions. So again, I want to thank Jake for the help. They've established an extremely helpful and thorough guide on the Toontown Rewritten storyline on their subreddit. If you want to check that out, it'll be linked in the description. Hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully you look forward to the future, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all next time in my next video.
Alright, that was cool. That was very cool. Alright, so we have the next video being a giant iceberg.
Icebergs regarding a
Watching L. You know what? Sure, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep the watching L instead of watching colon.
certain topic really interests me. It's pretty much a
me
video
read
talking about
your
topics of a
messages.
specific
Second
game series or
Olean.
show, and this discussion getting more and more knowledgeable
Oh,
about
ew.
the topic,
Ew.
like
Yeah,
Luigi
give me a
in
second.
Mario 64 or the Webkins Killer, pretty much getting more deep with the topic. So I thought it would be pretty interesting to take a look at the iceberg with Toontown. Now I wanted to look at something from Reddit. Some of them were jokes, but some were actually serious. There was one made by u/Swede7s. He made a pretty good version of it, and then he made an expanded version, which I kind of debated on whether or not to do it, but I decided let's just go all the way. It's a little long, but let's talk about it. Keep
Yeah,
in
only
mind, this video might get
47
a little
minutes
long,
long.
so with that said, let's take a look at the Toontown iceberg and see how deep it can
Alright,
go.
so critical hit system for Final Fantasy XIV, status effects, HP display,
Nutty
and cogs in
River and
battle,
Nutty
and
Summit.
more.
These were two popular
Wait.
districts in Toontown Online.
Aline.
Nutty Summit would usually be full, but had times for you to actually get
Even if
in.
it's, like,
but
not,
Nutty
like,
River was almost always
done,
full. so it
can
would
you
just be
show me a
miracle just to get
video
in. I'm not
of the
sure
critical
why Nutty
hit
River was
system?
always full 24/7, but it might have to
'Cause
do
you've
with
piqued
bots
my
being there
interest.
and hackers filling the area. The construction tunnel.
And it sounds
This
pretty
was
interesting.
Always rumored and unknown what this is going to be. It's said in a Brazilian Toontown.
Is that
news
working
piece
right?
that
Fair
this would
enough.
have
Toontown
new enemies
moment.
That weren't the
Truly
cogs.
Toontown
But I'm
moment.
pretty sure this was going to be probably the Doodle Park place, which was in Toontown Offline from Toontown Online's design documents. Still though, I find it odd it's been there for all those years and it really didn't say much about it. Toon Valley, Toontown Central. This was a place everyone would go to for events like game shows and fashion shows hosted by people playing Toontown. Toontown Written kinda had this called Vibrant Valley, but got rid of it. I'm not really sure how Toon Valley caught on, but I guess it might have had to do with the amount of people hosting game events and people just assumed it would always be there. The Hills. I'm sure this might have had to do with the hills in Toontown Central, maybe just the outskirts of the area, but I really don't know too much about this, other than it was a background for the playgrounds.
Yeah, do it and have fun, Aline.
This toon was the final task in the bird, making you do a lot to get to Donald's Dreamland, like kill some tier 8 cogs and do 24-story buildings. He's a tough and very notorious toon task, mostly for being hated, but helps you in the long run with gags and training. Cog buildings in Toontown Central. This was actually uncommon for some reason. Whenever it happened, everyone would want to go in it to the point there
Me
would be
as a
40
children-
people just waiting to get in
The
one in
children?
Toontown
As a
Central.
child.
I don't know why this happened, but it was something that just would happen. I don't know, people were just bored of the game, I guess. Why Toontown closed? Toontown closed in 2013. Many theories speculated why it was shut down, but it was really because the play subscription style for video games was just not working out nowadays, and only kept around Club Penguin since it was the most popular.
Yeah,
at the
Lynn,
time
let me
of
know.
release.
I'm
But then
curious.
later ditched it only a few years later. It was just Toontown couldn't survive in a business style like this for Disney to keep around. Toontown clones and reboots. I don't know what this means. I think this might mean fan servers like Toontown Rewritten and Toontown Corporate Clash, because one is a clone, and one I guess you could call it a reboot or remake to Toontown, but Yeah, these are here to basically keep up Toontown alive, along with Toontown
TT,
Offline,
RMX,
Toontown
or
Fellowship,
remakes.
Operation Desert Storm, and Tooniversal.
Yeah, if you
But many
can
of these
make a
fan
fun
series have been
single-player
living on ever
Toontown,
since
by all means.
2013, pretty much 7 years now. Pretty impressive considering there's a lot more on the way, like Toontown Galaxy, Toontown Cogs and Gags, Toontown Sugar Rush, Cog Invasion, and currently more being developed. Greeners. These are pretty much just trolls trying to ruin the experience for players.
Oh
and
my
that's
god.
really all you can say about them. People just making the game more inconvenient for
The
the
infamous
players
greener.
and ruining the experience purposely. Black cats. This is a color you can get on Halloween for a cat. This is only for one day, and you can't get this regularly on Toontown Online, and only on October 31st. VP Lobby Room. There's really not much you can say other than it's the lobby area for the Cellbot Boss Vice President.
Yeah,
we do
okay, I
have
know
these
you
eyes
have.
here, so
Your stuff's
that's
pretty
cool.
interesting as well.
Green tunes. Now, on St. Patrick's Day, you can have a completely green tune. Your muzzle's green, your gloves are green. Pretty much everything about you is green on St. Patrick's Day. The Chairman. A rumored final boss for years. It was teased from the CEO after he died and said, the chairman won't like this. People had thought this would be the final one you would meet in Cognation, but sadly this boss never came out, and honestly it's a shame. Many have tried to recreate it, but most have failed, except for Toontown Offline so far, as they're currently trying to finish it with Seek Out Scrooge. Funny Farms. A playground that was cut from the game. It was going to be a black and white playground.
Yeah,
like
like
the
I
old
remember
Mickey Mouse
that. It was pretty
cartoons.
funny.
It was going to be a part of the main game, but the team had a hard time trying to figure out how it would work, but they never managed to get it to work right and ended up scrapping the whole thing together. True Friends. This is something for people in real life to give a true friend code, and
So
when
Ghost
you
Scrooge
each other
never
a true
released.
friend code, you can become
Damn.
true friends and have a blue name tag. With this, you can pretty much say whatever you want to each other. Some things that would probably be blurred out to people who don't have true friends can actually see it. Cognation. This was another rumored area where you
Fortnite
would fight the
gaming.
chairman. Now, it's hard to tell what this area would have been like, a city for the cogs, or just an HQ like the rest of them. Also, they've gave some subtle hints about Cognation happening, like Cashbot HQ and the Cellbot Factory, you can find crates saying Cognation. Sadly, it never really came out, and it's really unclear how much progress was even made at all, or if it was even going to happen.
I
Toon
don't think it
Troopers
would've.
and Resistant Rangers. These were both staff members slash part of the lore of the game. Toon Troopers, I think, were just staff and would just give out beans, host parties, and help with events. Resistance Rangers were part of the lore and introduced in Storm Cellbot. Ubertoons.
Uber
These were
Tunes!
people who had like 15, 16, or a low amount of laugh, and would have max gags to make the game more challenging. for them.
Yeah!
137 laugh tunes.
That's it?
These are pretty
Okay,
much
fair
people
enough.
who finished Toontown Online and basically got the max amount of health 100%ing the game. And that's really all you can say about them. They pretty much finished Toontown. Polar Tunes. This was something given at Polar Place when you would say howdy in the building Hibernation
remember this.
Vacations, and your tune would be white as long as you would stay in the burg.
I
Cog
remember
knockback
that.
damage. This is something that would happen when you would lure a cog, hit them with throw or squirt, and it would cause knockback damage to them. Scrooge McDuck flash
Thank you,
video.
Aline.
This demonstrates how the cogs were made and how Scrooge McDuck accidentally made the cogs by activating the
Oh
chairman.
my god, I
It
felt
also
the
shows
end.
him getting captured by the chairman, and to this day, we don't even know where he is, according to Toontown Online. And it also does hint that the chairman at one point was going to be an enemy at the game, or not, but it did show that the chairman was part of Toontown somehow. Who Framed Roger Rabbit inspiration? The film was very cartoony and it made the town more alive. Some inspirations, I believe, are the shops, props, the town area, and its overall style just looking really cartoony. It's what Toontown style would have been like and expanded upon from Toontown 2. Befriending cogs.
Alright, let me
This is something that is sadly
read
impossible, but
chat.
I'm sure everyone has tried at one point.
Max
You
out was
can go to
1 million
friends
population in
and
my
click on
district.
Make a Friend and click on the
That's
cog. They will either
crazy.
say
A
no
million?
thank you or give you a message on why they don't accept it. It's more of an Easter egg if anything. Pandora. This is a huge leak that happened a few months ago containing assets and features to Toontown that
Pandora.
have never been seen before, like HD cutscenes, unused features, animations, and the beta playgrounds. Well, most of them. It was something that helped give us info on what was cut with Toontown after all these years and helped debunk some stuff that was rumored in the game, with only little evidence to
Yesman
back it
says
up,
no.
like the clown cogs. Out of Bounds. This was just a glitch where you had collisions of the game off or able to clip in an area that you weren't supposed to. It's just imperfections with the game that haven't been patched. Loopy Goopy G, a YouTuber that's
Oh my
helped
God,
debunk a lot of
Tim.
Toontown mysteries for the longest time. Some things he's found were the original Toontown map and the Toontown 2 prototype. He talked and helped
Loopy Goopy
popularize
G.
most rumors for the game. He's been a little inactive recently, but he still helps with Toontown Corporate Clash. Lighthouse Lane,
No,
a
he
street for
doesn't.
Donald's Dock. I don't know what else you would like me to talk about other than it has this lighthouse for no reason, and it never really was used before. Probably just a decoration, but it would have been cool what they would have done
Corporate
with that
Clash is
lighthouse.
high.
However, Toontown Corporate
Oh.
Clash made it into its own building, which I gotta say is really cool. Cozy. He's an NPC in
yeah, it
Daisy's
made it to its own
Gardens, but
building,
he's also
alright.
known for being a very popular Toontown YouTuber back in the day, who helped give tips and tricks to players who were new to the game. He was insanely popular back in the day. While he's not really been up to much, I definitely do think a lot of people will remember him. Toontown
I
trading
remember him
cards.
for the wrong
I
way
recently just
reasons
talked
now.
about this and how they were a part of a Toontown subscription. You would get a subscription to Toontown Online, and then you would get cards and mini posters from them. The cards would give you info on enemies in the game, tunes, gags, and they would even give out some things regarding with the lore of the game, like Toontown's greatest moments. Toonfest. This was an event for
I've
Toontown
been to a
Online that would be
Toonfest.
hosted in Magic Kingdom of Disney World Orlando. It was a promotion to help advertise Toontown Online from 2006 to 2007. Some Disney celebrities would attend to these and just play Toontown there. They had mini games like throwing a
Ghost.
pie at the cogs, taking pictures with the cogs, racing trophies like actual racing.
Yeah, sure.
Mini golf, it seemed like they enjoyed themselves when making this. I don't know why they opted to do it for 2 years and not continue with it in 2008 and 2009, but I think why
Golf
they
moment,
stopped doing
truly.
this was around in 2007 they acquired Club Penguin and Toontown kind of got pushed to the
Alright.
side and stuff with
Crystal
Toonfest.
Stone.
Donald's
Armor
Dock
hits
Collision
deal
Fence.
base
I feel like
damage.
to anyone who
Critical hits
played
deal
Toontown
1.1
Online
times
back in the
damage.
day
Direct
knows
hits
what I'm
deal
talking about.
1.05.
The fence over
Critical
here would
direct
just
hits
let
are
you
whopping
clip. It was a
1.5.
silly mistake for some reason that never
Heals
got
can
patched.
also
Like,
crit,
you can literally
as well
just
as
go
the
through
longer
the walls
miss.
in
I love the no
Donald's Dock
longer missing things.
and they never fixed it.
Thank you, Ghost.
Taxi Tunes. I'm not even sure what a Taxi Tune is, but if I had to give a guess what a Taxi Tune was, it was probably a tune with a membership and would use a tune without a membership to bypass places where you
I
needed a
remember
membership
the
from.
real
It could have
Taxi
been something
Tunes.
else, but that's my
But
best
come
guess.
here.
The Toontown Times. Probably just a joke to the New York Times, but it was an email-based newsletter for people who subscribed to Toontown from 2003 to 2009.
Puppy peed in the
It
hallway.
would give
Puppy
info
is
for
in
updates for Tunes of the
detention.
month and contests. The original Toontown map. This was planned for the original game, and some things were different here than what was in the main game, like the HQs in different areas, cut playgrounds like Goofy Stadium and Construction Zone. Most of the stuff here was cut because of budget for the game, and just them changing some stuff around that would make more sense for the game, I guess. They even cut some playgrounds like Funny Farms because they were unclear on what they wanted to do with it. Sadly, these 3 playgrounds never really got much work, and only probably went to the concept phase until they just removed it altogether.
The third layer. Will you revisiting gag shows inspired by Corporate Clash and
Orange
GTR's
Team
revisions?
This was something back in 2000.
Have fun,
I
Elite.
believe 2005 days of Toontown, when players would have an orange
Oh,
name tag
fun.
rather than a green one. I'm sure this was changed for whatever reason, but it was something they had back in the day when the game was complete. Donald Frump. Donald Frump was a joke reference to Donald Trump, a very successful businessman and former US president. I'm sure they put him as a reference because literally there's a lot of other pop culture things regarding with Donald Trump as a joke or just as a reference. And also he made a few cameos in Disney shows and movies. Interestingly though, for some reason servers have been trying to get rid of him. Like in Toontown Corporate Clash, he's been straight up removed, and I have a feeling with Toontown Arena as well, since they even held a poll saying that they wanted to change nearly all of the NPCs, or most of them. I don't know. But whatever the case with Donald Trump is in Toontown private servers at least, I will say though, it has been an interesting history with him. BossBot HQ music. BossBot HQ has 3 themes. They would change randomly whenever you would come to the HQ. I'm not sure why BossBot HQ had this much attention with music, but it's interesting with the amount of themes for this one HQ. Unreleased tune species. Some that have been rumored for the longest time was cow, goat, and chicken tunes.
Where's
Now, it's
the
hard to tell
deer?
if cow tunes had any work on them, but it shows from Lonnie Manella that she did voice some things with goat tunes. With chicken, it's possible that models were made other than this one photo of it. They're nowhere present in the game's files or anywhere as is, just this one photo. The original Toontown Central layout, aka Beta Toontown Central, was an older version of
Yeah,
Toontown
where's the
Central.
deer in
It
GTO?
was a circle area and a little more smaller than what we have today. While Toontown Central is better by all means, people were really wanting to try out the beta version of this. It's been inaccessible for the reason that it was only there for beta and had no other way of playing it. However, just recently, we did get the files for Beta Toontown Central, and they're implemented into Toontown Offline and Toontown Archive, giving us the chance to actually go into it. CogHQ manholes. These were just here for no reason. It's been speculated that this could have been for Cognation or something else, but every HQ had it, which was a little surprising. Maybe it was planned for something, but the Toontown Online team just never got around to it.
It was planned for something, alright.
Pumpkin and snowman heads. Something for an event for Halloween and Christmas. You would go trick-or-treating or Christmas caroling, and you would get jelly beans.
Or you
and
should
then
say
once
they
you
were
got to the final
repurposed.
area, you would get a pumpkin or snowman head for the season. Doodle origins. Doodles made their debut in 2004, and that Flippy was looking for his doodle. Toons would have to search for him, but in Minnie's Melody Land, he was spotted in Tenor Terrace with thousands of doodles left, and led to them creating the pet shop area. Cellbots are actually the hardest cog type. I think this is actually true since they can be really tough. I thought Lawbots were probably the hardest, but if you think about it, Bossbots really have no group attacks, and Cashbots, while tough, aren't as annoying as Lawbots and
I
Cellbots.
want to say, I'm on top.
Cellbots, I believe, are much more harder
of
due
the
to the fact that
boxes.
the Gladhander, who is a tier 4 cog, can do
This is
20
funny.
damage, I believe. Same with the Mover and Shaker, and etc. for the rest of the Cellbots. Legal Eagle Field Offices. Each cog department was going to have their own field offices, and the Legal Eagles were going to be given one. I'm sure this is going to be a feature in Toontown sometime in 2013, maybe 2014, if the game wasn't shut down. However, they never released this, even though this update was nearly completed to be released. It was even in some promo materials for Toontown Online confirming it was planned.
I remember
Cannon
this.
glitch. The cannon glitch is weird. You could find a lot of weird stuff in here, like hidden code, the loading screen when you're in the gray void until you release the shot. It was also a glitch that was used in Toonfest sometimes to see some unused features at the time, like the duck tank. It's still possible to pull it off in Toontown Rewritten, but they keep finding ways on patching this glitch. But it was way more simple in Toontown Online. It was cool with all the weird stuff you would find in there, but that was really all it was. Just something neat. Version 2.0 Cog Double Death. These cogs would double die because you killed them first with them being an actual cog,
Yeah,
and
the
then killed
overkill.
them again when they were a Skelecog. This was a cool idea, which I'm surprised this wasn't the standard, but I'm glad because I'm sure that would have been annoying, but a cool idea for the cogs. Clans. These were people joining
Oh,
a group,
no.
I guess. I don't
Oh,
really know too much about
no.
them, but clans were a small group of people who would join and I guess roleplay within Toontown.
Roleplay.
Nowadays, which I'm actually really surprised. Pluto speaks. Pluto speaking in the Berg was nothing actually. I don't think he was ever giving a proper sound for him to talk, so I guess they just made him silent. It's really weird to think when the other dogs can do it, but not Pluto. Surprisingly, while researching this, it was rumored for the longest time in Toontown Online, but I actually had no clue of this. Donald being awake in Donald's Dreamland. This was a temporary model using Toontag Donald's model for Donald's Dreamland until they
Okay,
made a new one
Pepper,
for
I need
him.
you to not
The new
die.
one is basically just him, but sleepwalking. Minnie's Melody Land Carousel. This was originally something you could trigger for the carousel to spin and spin. Why this was probably taken out was probably to prevent people from getting nauseous while playing Toontown, since this could probably make them dizzy for, I guess, health reasons. Lowercase Toon names.
I remember Clash
This
got
was
rid of
something
it.
you could do back in the day, but it was taken out because I'm pretty sure you can make names that would bypass the whitelist, which I'm sure Disney didn't want there. So basically, if you really wanted to, you could make a tune named Flippy, but so I guess Disney just didn't want that,
Flippy.
so now you can't even have lowercase letters, it always has to start with an uppercase. The Old Berg Igloo. This was something for the Beta Berg until they removed it in favor of the Toon HQ. However, with the beta files we recently just got, we now have access to the Igloo, and it's even in Toontown Offline and Toontown Archive.
Wait, that's really cool.
Python injector hacks for Toontown. What the title says, it's basically just cheats for Toontown using hacks. They would go all out for this. You could basically get a free membership, cog suits, colored gloves, clothes not available to the public, and even high incentive areas. It was really cool what hackers can do with this. Anti-Uber tunes, aka how to ruin
No.
someone's day. These people will basically try to beat the game with the least amount of gags possible.
Oh,
Honestly
reverse
annoying
Ubers.
to play with, since
Ill.
you'll usually rely on them to carry you throughout the game. And if you're one of those, I hate you. The original house
too.
design. This was in the early stages of Toontown Online when they had cabin house-like designs. It was changed for a more regular house design, however the cabin one looked way better in my opinion. Bossbot Secret Castle. So, going out of bounds of the front three, you can find a castle here for no reason. It's not even the Bossbot Castle in the HQ, it's a completely
Seems to have
different
higher
one.
chance of laying
I have no
critical
clue why
hits than
this
the
is here, but
suits.
it might just be a leftover code that was accidentally left here with the castle appearing.
Oh,
Toontown
wait,
2.0.
the cogs
This
can
was a
crit?
canceled
Oh
sequel
no.
to Toontown
Yeah,
Online
I
that
wanna
was
hear
going
that.
to be planned sometime in 2011. This might have been a way to keep Toontown Online alive, like how they ditched Club Penguin for Club Penguin Island. However, they only got as far as making a prototype with this Landwalker and just a few mini-games. The game wasn't picked up, probably because Toontown just wasn't making enough money for Disney wanting to continue it, and that many employees working for Toontown had to be let go. And also, Disney was just moving away from games like Toontown and wanted to focus on Club Penguin and Disney Infinity, and I'm sure that worked out great.
I think I'm dead here.
Orkin Battle Glitch.
I only have 22
For some
health on
reason, there was a
Pepper.
glitch for you to walk out of the battle, and if you were in another battle,
Yeah, I'm
you'd
dead
be
here.
fighting 2 battles at the
That
same
sucks.
time. This was also very risky because this gives you more likely of a chance that you will die, and it makes things more confusing for the players. Goofy and Daisy's Gardens. Goofy was there because
Yeah,
they
they're
just
both
needed a
dead.
temporary character for that area while Daisy's Gardens was out. Goofy at the time didn't have his own playground, and I guess they used the Goofy model in Toontag like they did with Mickey, Minnie, and Donald. Freckles Slam.
Wait
He
a
was a pretty
second.
popular hacker. Nothing really could be said other than he had red gloves and he would hack the game
It's-
sometimes. It's hard to tell when he first appeared, but he existed and was
Oh my
the
god.
reason why Toontown closed initially.
It's-
Other than
it's-
that, though, he's just
it's a
really known for
Freckle
being a
Slam.
hacker. Hundreds of T-posing tunes. Ah, yes, the T-posing tunes. They were bots that would be nothing but to ruin the game and spread them around like a disease. Hackers would pretty much do this to annoy the player and block certain areas with them. It sucks because Disney barely did anything about it since it was pretty common back in Toontown Online. Anti-Clan. I think the whole purpose of
I think
these
it'd be pretty
was
cool
just
to
go
lean.
against something.
Ah,
I
the
think
sound
this
is
might
too
be a
loud.
plan of hackers back in the day with Toontown.
Why is it so
I don't know,
loud?
but that's probably my best guess.
Why are you? Why doesn't Toontown save my settings anymore? Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, why doesn't Toontown save my settings? I'm so confused. I'm just gonna open up one game. Wait, yeah, the settings aren't even saved again. What the fuck? I'm so confused. What if I try logging in on the launcher? Oh wait, no. Not that one, not that account. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why my settings aren't saved. Also, wait, hold on. Why are some of my textures different? Can I have mine? Thank you. I'm so confused. It shouldn't be like this. I was playing the game normally earlier. Thank you. Yeah, I might have to fix it. So my settings are saved. I'm gonna log out normally and then relog and see if they save. I can't imagine why they wouldn't save. Okay. Okay, that's saved. That's saved for sure. So what if I close out of it? Don't ask me again. And then go to my multi-tune launcher. And launch from that. Well, Infesto's being bad. Let me go take care of him.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow.
Okay. I think the settings have saved. Because they're all in the corner. Ah, they're both dead. Figured as much.
Too much about this, but this might have been a glitch where when you took damage, but it affected the other guy. Again, I'm not too sure about this one, but we may be getting too deep. Cog building or glitch entrance. Yeah, for some reason, when finding a cog building, it would sometimes be impossible to beat or enter it. It was a glitch back in the day and has been patched in Toontown Written and other games. Maverick. He was another hacker, but in my opinion, probably one of the worst in the community. First off, yes, this guy was a Toontown hacker, but he took it to the extreme. He hacked the Random Toon Show's YouTube channel and proceeded to delete all of his videos, all of his tunes, hacked every social media this guy had, and even disabled his phone. And I'm not even joking, he really did do all this to him. He's doxed and made threats, it was kinda bad. However, he took his
Ew.
shenanigans one step further, and supposedly, he's made bomb threats to his school, which ended up getting him arrested.
Oh.
This is not a joke. I'm being dead serious right now. Yeah, he was pretty
Oh, shit.
prevalent back in like 2014 to 2015, but just as suddenly as he appeared, he suddenly disappeared from the community. Or he's probably in jail. Negative laugh. I think this is when your tune is dead and it lists on your name tag that you only have -1 laugh. That or it could be a glitch I've never seen before. Airplanes above E-states. So in the E-states, you'll usually see these airplanes just flying around out of random. I don't know really too much on why they were here. I think they were just here as like decorations or something, but they would sometimes have messages, I believe. Skelecog invasions. I don't think Toontown Online has ever done this. Maybe they have before, but it was probably like very rare of them to do it. I'm sure this would have been held during like a specific event, but it wasn't too often you would see invasions for them. Lefty Lemonzilla, another
Oh, no,
YouTuber
this
slash
guy.
hacker who would go on to make rants about the game and kinda like Frizzy Dog and Pop. However, in 2014, he's hacked games like Toontown House for it to shut down and hacked Toontown Written by giving it messages and deleting people's accounts. Lefty has since moved on from the Toontown community and apparently he's working for a company, which I'm glad to hear he's doing pretty well for himself. One Laugh solo bosses. This was something popularized by Howling Ninja
One
Dog
Laugh
and Lawsburg, with
Ubers.
them doing One Laugh solos or in different areas in the game on YouTube. Walking sad on a street / Cog HQ. This would happen when you would die in a Cog HQ if you were in battle or just logged off of it while you were dead. You can walk sad in the Cog HQ and in the streets until you reach a playground. Hacked color gloves. Hackers would go into the game and get themselves the ability to change their glove color because it wasn't possible for people to do that in the main game. It was
The toon
speculated
injection.
that this was planned for Toontown Online, but it ended up being scrapped just having white gloves. Day and Night Cycle / Hidden Moon. A Day and Night Cycle was planned for Toontown, but recently in the files it's been shown it was planned with the night and day changing. I don't know why this was a scrapped feature, but it was found not too long ago from another leak by Satire 6. Last Big Cheese Invasion Irony. On September 16th and 17th, apparently the Big Cheese Invasion was going to happen and try to take over Toontown one last time before the game shuts down for good on September 19th, 2013. Yeah, that's kinda weird because I guess you can technically say they succeeded. Cellbot Factory
Aw.
Skip. I'm pretty sure this was a glitch when you would go into the balcony and do a collisions off glitch for you to skip nearly the entire factory and get to the final 3 cog battles in the factory. I don't know why people would want to skip it if they wanted merits, but this was probably for people who didn't get their Cellbot suit and just wanted to get it as quickly as possible.
I don't need to do a Cellbot factory skip.
Bossbot Arm Factory.
I
Now
need
these
my
were
merits.
factories for Toontown Online for each cog department, and they would have had their own suit piece. Factories would have been much more detailed, and all of them having parts towards a boss. However, I believe because of the budget and just being too much work on the team, they just scrapped this entire plan. Mickey's Toontown inspiration. Mickey's Toontown had some stuff in Toontown like Donald's boat, Toon Hall, the bank, the hills of Toontown. A lot was inspired from Mickey's Toontown from Toontown Online, and even Mickey is listed as the mayor of Toontown. Jesse's Jokes Repair. This was basically a building just a reference
Yeah, I
to
need
the
to turn them
series
off.
creator of the game, Jesse Shell. Remove trolley track games. Well, 2 of them were completed but just removed for no reason, and one was just an older version of a trolley game, the catching game formerly known as Dodgicog. 2 games that were removed were Photo Fun and Trolley Chacks. Photo Fun was negatively received, and Trolley Chacks was just really annoying to get to when you wanted to get some beans and forced to play a marathon of trolley games in order to leave. Gyro Gear Loose and DuckTales Connections. So in DuckTales 2017,
Oh
they
my
had
God,
a
it's
reference
the
to Toontown. When Gyro Gear
cartoon.
Loose crossed off Evil Robots he made, right there is listed Cogs.
Cogs.
It confirms that DuckTales 2017 and Toontown Online are technically canon to each other. Meet Here Tunes. This was an interesting one.
This
I
was the
remember
Taxi
I found
Tunes, I
out
thought.
about this, and I would
Question
use it
mark.
a ton. They would show up, and wherever you wanted to go, they would take you. You can even go to Nutty River as well. I'm pretty sure a hacker made this because, from what I'm seeing from other people, they're saying that this was actually not made by Disney. I kind of found it odd that they even got this to work in the first place for everyone to even use. Unreleased content. I'll put this all together with all the rest of the stuff. The unreleased picnic games were something that was just left over from the game for some reason. They were 100% complete but never added for some reason. They had Chinese Checkers, and Connect 4. Unused music tracks were something that was
Chat,
just never
1v1
added
me,
to the
Connect
game,
4.
probably because they just didn't fit the style or just had better tracks in its place. That said though, the E-States had a scrapped theme, which was kinda weird they never used since E-States never really had a theme before in the game. Unused dancing tune buildings. I have no clue why this was cut since it was left over in the game's files. It looked like something that Toontown 2.0 was trying to do to make the buildings a lot more alive and animated.
Oh,
And it
did I
really
miss?
sucks they never really
I
got to
did.
do that. Gray tunes. It was an unused color for when you wanted to make a tune. That's the color they would start for, just being gray tunes. Why this was cut was probably because it's a really dull color, maybe for like cogs, and the only time it was here in game was in the old Make a Tune. Naked tunes. Well, when you
Naked
started the game,
tunes.
your tune was naked, and once you got the chance to get a color, you can add clothes to it. That's really all you can say about it, since they were only in the old Make a Tune when creating one. Nameless tunes. You couldn't really do this without hacking. The name generator prevents you from having no name, so the only way
Hey,
you can
Brandon,
probably
welcome in.
do this is just from a hack, I guess. Goofy Speedway Out of Bounds Tomatoes.
so I didn't-
In
oopsie,
Goofy
I might
Speedway,
die
there were
here.
tomatoes, I guess just as a decoration. You can only see them at this angle, pretty much out of bounds of Goofy Speedway. I don't know why it's put
7.
here, and the weird thing is, this is the only time you see them in the game.
Oh, that's at Fireball.
Donald's
Fuck.
Dreamline animated fire hydrants. Yeah, they're animated.
I accidentally clicked
Just like the rest
Awooga
of them, I guess. Backstage
instead
column. I actually don't know
of
about what
Trunk.
they're asking
I'm
with
so
this one.
pissed.
Maybe the back of the stadium for Goofy Speedway, but I'm not entirely sure. If so, this could just be where Goofy Speedway is, with the main hub. If not, this could have just been other areas of where the tracks could be. It's honestly up to you on what this could have been. Fishing tournament prizes. There were fishing tournaments in 2005 and 2006 to the people that can catch the most amount of fish in under 48 hours, and they would get some cool prizes. Usually you'd think it'd be stuff like an exclusive shirt or something like that, but they actually had some cool stuff that was worth your while. In 2005, they gave out iPod shuffles to the top 3 people in the
iPod shuffles?
tournament, and in 2006 gave out High School
Actually?
Musical soundtrack CDs.
We're all in
I've
this
never
together.
heard such a thing before making this video, but this was actually really cool. They continued this in 2009 and 2011, which had some, well, lame prizes compared to 2005 and 2006. It was basically just exclusive shirts they gave out, like a shirt with bubbles and a boot shirt. Surprisingly, they did this up until 2013 of April, which is shocking. It was really cool of them to give out real life prizes. It's just a shame they kind of stopped doing it after 2006. Weird Toontown commercials. I'm assuming they're talking about the UK commercials.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
these are
UK
weird. They were in a
commercials.
different
I've
style
seen
for
these.
Toontown. For some reason, everything about it just
so
looked really curse and
weird.
off-putting. It had different animation and just had a different style overall when making them. Cashbot field offices. A new field office was planned for the rest of the other cogs, like the Mover and Shaker and Legal Eagle. Some work actually was put into them. It basically
Nah,
was
it's
just
okay,
a
Brandon.
plain game where
I
you
just did an
throw
oopsie
money
and
bags at cogs, I
ended
guess.
up,
And that was really it. However, there was
well,
concept art that can
clicking
be
the
found
wrong
by
gag.
Felipe Lore, and it looks really great. It's a shame it was never finished, but it was speculated that the new field office would go to the money bags. More unreleased content. First off, we have some unused gags. Some original gags were moved, like this cupcake icon, looking like a muffin, and another cog called the gavel, which was in the game's files, but was never used for
gavel?
anything. Unused cog attacks
Bonk
had been
reel?
removed since some of them were inappropriate like cigar smoke and some being tuning like song and dance. And the next one, for seemingly no reason, the throw book was removed. The unused crying sound effect was cut for... I don't know why actually. Probably because the other one sounded way more cartoony and the other sounded a little more depressing, I guess.
I hate
Toward
that one.
Toontown Week. This was when people in 2005 and 2008, when anyone can play, even with people who didn't have a membership to Toontown Online. It lasted for a week, and it was basically just allowing anyone to play Toontown for a free week. 3-day free trial. Basically, it's a free trial to Toontown Online and lets you do whatever you want until the trial is up and you have to pay for the game. BossBot field offices. All COG types were planning on having field offices. We briefly just talked about what happened with CashBot field offices. BossBot has very little about what would have happened with it. However, all we really know about BossBot field offices is that it might have been just golf from this one screenshot. I'm sure the team had much more plans for them, but it's really unknown what would have it been. Cellbot Foot Factory.
What?
Like BossBot,
Foot
it was going to be
Factory?
a more detailed version of what we had today. Surprisingly, we actually kind of have a model of it.
Toontown
This isn't even what the
Feats?
Cellbot factories look like. It's completely different. Like the Fist factories, it was probably cut due to the budget and for it being way too ambitious for them. Super Speed Glitch. So apparently changing your clock forward on your computer, it can make your tune move really fast. It was found in 2009, but it was shortly patched right after being found. Also, while doing this, it made everyone else frozen. Airborne Acres Ultra Shortcut. Now, I'm not too sure about this, but I know if you go fast and hold down the bar, you can clip through the track and turn around to finish the track super quick. It might have been patched in Toontown Written in other servers, but it's possible to do it. I know when
I've
doing
never
this,
seen
this
that.
could mess up the track. Sometimes it would work and sometimes it just wouldn't work at all. Toontown Central Trolley T-Pose Glitch. Ah yes, the T-pose again. Actually, I think I know what this might be. I think when you had a glitch to, go on the trolley and were given the ability to, get off of it, it would show you that you were leaving it, but your tune would become all black, and then when you came
remember
back
this.
from the trolley, since you were leaving it, or just not on it, your tune would start T-posing after the
At least
trolley
what
came back.
Anthem
This was a
did.
weird glitch. I don't know why this was something that would happen, but I definitely do remember this. Looneyville was the original Nutty River. Toontown had some scrap districts, and yes, Looneyville was listed as one. I'm sure this was probably the most popular district in the game at the time, so it would make sense to call it the Nutty River before the Nutty River. Limited Engagement. I hardly know anything about Limited Engagement, but I also know it was a sneak preview for Toontown Online after Beta 2. After Beta 2 was finally over and the accounts for Beta were disabled, they allowed people who helped out with Beta 2 to get a slight discount from Toontown Online releases from $9.95 to $5.99, a 40% discount. Toon
I would
masks.
love that.
Now, at first, a lot of people thought that these Toon masks were something in beta, but fun fact, they're actually not real. But looking in the game's files, whether it be in the 2003 source or 2013 source or even beta source, they aren't found anywhere. Only these screenshots can be found, and they might have only been from one scrapped idea that was planned but never released for Toontown. This very well could have been a hoax back in the day, but if so, this was a really convincing hoax. No cog types planned originally. Now, cogs were originally not called cogs, they were called suits, and I'm sure that suits would have just been the only cog type and would have been just a variety of them. Playground treasure chests. These were originally treasures for tunes to heal in beta, however they were replaced with unique sprites for each tune to heal with. Glitch colored gloves. So, supposedly there was a glitch to get colored gloves in beta, but if you tried performing this, your account would
Alright, let me
get
show this real
banned.
quick.
I actually
I don't know how this is gonna sound, but I'm just going to do this. Can I pop it out? No, I can't pop it out. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to do this. also like put in this. There you go. Move that. Get that shrunk. There you go.
Bubbles and a boot shirt. Surprisingly, they did this up
I hear the video in the background.
Was shocking. It was really cool of them to give out real life prizes. It's just a shame they kind of stopped doing it after 2000.
So I see this is 2 minutes. Do I watch the entire thing, or is there a spot to skip? Wait, hold on. Let me full screen this. Wait, that's actually really cool. I like that. Has unlimited gags now. We love that. We love that. Oh, the UK. I am muting that because that's my own voice. Oh, wait, it shows the intention of what the cog is going to do. Interesting. Wait, you have burn on the pies? I think you overcooked them a little bit, Aline. I think you overcooked them. Okay, the self-heal. We love the funny self-heal. Did you get inspiration from like Toontown Archipelago with the with that? I figured as much. You said the second attack should have it. What the fuck? Huh? Huh? The cog died but still attacked. What? Oh, really? Like that? Interesting. Skip a little bit. Oh, there's a critical. Wait, it's really right there. That's cool. So it's like yellow. So instead of doing 16 damage, it did 18 damage. That's cool. I like how it went yellow as well. That is really nice. You do a good job. And if still attacking even though it's dead. Oh, I love that. Does the other one attack? No, it's just one attack. I love that so much.
Don't know too much about this, but apparently this was something you could do back in the day. How it was performed, it's actually unknown how this would have been done. 2002 Beta 2 build. In 2002, Toontown went into Beta 2 and had a lot of stuff containing it. Now, I'm not sure what it would have been, but it just might have been Beta 1 but with more advanced things to do. It's still technically lost to this day with no way of accessing it. Maybe it will surface one day like how Beta 1 did, however, it's still kind of lost media to Toontown. Flippy's
Lost
original
media?
design. Back in beta and briefly back in 2003,
Is it
Flippy
problematic
was a
media?
brown dog with a green shirt with purple stripes and a bump on his head. He's always been in the Toontown launcher icon. They changed him to be a blue dog with an orange shirt and red stripes with no bump, to the character we know today. 7 gag tunes. In beta, you would have to go to each playground to unlock a new gag type. For each playground you went, you would get all 7 gags. Since technically in beta 1, there was actually no way of getting them through Toontasks, so this was the way on how you would get new gags. Drop as a starting gag. This was something Jesse Shell planned with sound, however, he made the standard just to be throwing squirts since he didn't want all the tunes to end up the same.
Okay, so I want to say this right now. This is a vivid memory. I remember in the TTO days, I remember running into someone who had all the gag types. I don't know if it was a hacker, I don't know if it was staff, or just an old tune. But I vividly remember a tune having all gags in TTO that I ran into.
Alright, so I accidentally skipped the removed VP tasks, so I'm gonna go talk about them right here. Removed VP tasks. I'm assuming these were just for fun tasks for Toontown Online when beating the VP. Maybe stuff like defeat set amount VPs, or kill the VP with the toon with a certain amount of laugh. Why this was removed was probably because people really didn't like these tasks, since you can see on the MMO Central forums people having a hard time finishing them. Disney probably got rid of them due to a negative reception with the tasks. 2001 Beta 1 build. Toontown Beta was always something that was heavily desired from the community. People wanted to get access to Toontown's
Oh my
beta
God, I
days.
missed
In
again.
2020, when Toontown
Should be
had the
fine.
Toontown Online revival, one of the staff members had a beta CD, and that beta CD had a beta build of Toontown Beta 1. Joey Ziolkowski released the files, and then just a few months later, we had a pretty much working version of Toontown Beta 1 through Toontown Archive. Beta Toontown has a lot of differences to regular Toontown, but that's for any game in an early beta. Red Toon name tags. In Beta 2001, apparently Toons had red name tags and Cogs would have blue name tags. This would later be changed to orange and then changed to green. You're a jerk. Before
You're
you
a
stink,
jerk.
there was You're a jerk in its place. The reason I'm gonna assume why this was replaced with You Stink is that they wanted something mean for the player, but nothing too mean, because Jesse Cell said that he wanted something like that in Toontown, so I guess they just landed on You Stink. Sound is a starting gag. In beta, when making a tune, you had 3 starting gags, being throw, squirt, and sound. Like drop, I assume this was cut for a few reasons, since they didn't want everyone to have 3 of the same gag type and make sound optional. I think the team thought they wanted to make sound optional and make throw and squirt the standard. This was removed after beta, since walking to playgrounds you can unlock new gag types. Toon Talker. This was before Speed Chat
Toon
before it was
Talker?
called the Toon Talker
Oh,
in beta.
okay.
It was a little more limited and complicated, but after beta it was much more simplified. Numbers in Toon names. These were never allowed, but I believe this might have been from when you showed your ID as a toon. Also in beta, this could probably refer to when you can basically name your toon anything and you can put numbers in them. Toontown items from Toonfest 2006 and Toonfest 2007. That's a bit hard to talk about since a lot of Toonfest merch from
I
that
would kill
time,
for
I mean,
shirts like
they
that.
existed and they've been found by the community, but stuff in-game is definitely more interesting. I'm sure stuff of it exists, but like old tickets and bags and magnets and much more from Toonfest and Toontown merch from that time exist, but are incredibly rare to find. Sadly, stuff like COG costumes and like the racing trophies and racing stuff they had in those events might be just destroyed or just in the Disney Vault or archives. It's honestly hard to tell what they would have done with all this stuff, but sadly the truth may be that a lot of this
We'll
stuff
never know.
might be destroyed. Toontown Online themed arcade machines. Believe it or not, Toontown Online and Club Penguin both had arcade machines. They're now located at Disney Tomorrowland and could be playable there. Nowadays, finding one of these arcade machines would just be a miracle. Supposedly, the Club Penguin arcade machine has been preserved and kept in the main development area in Canada for Club Penguin, on display I guess. However, the Toontown one is completely unknown where this could be. Probably locked away
Where is
somewhere in
it?
Disney for us to probably never see again.
Where is it?
Toontown pets.
Doodles.
Are the only pets in Toontown. I don't know if this is encouraging that there were other pets planned for Toontown, but Doodles are the only ones that were planned that have a trick system and can be fed and scratched. There was a ton of stuff planned for them, but it was just all scrapped, including the next thing we're going to talk about, pet parks. It was going to be basically like a dog park for the Doodles and to help interact with people you aren't friends with. I'm sure stuff like this was going to be expanded than a generic area for the Doodles and give it its own flair. Back in the day, people would rumor about Fluffy Farms as a playground for Doodles, so it's something that fans have been speculating for years. It was scrapped along with a bunch of other things planned of Doodles, and it's a shame that this was cut. Landmark Buildings. Along with Toontown Pets, Landmark Building design documents came out a few months ago, and even had some interesting ideas for concepts with Toontown Online in the 2000s. However, like the pets, things just never came out to be like in the design documents. It sucks because Toontown had a lot of great ideas from this iceberg, but each time it had to get scrapped due to a lack of resources or just not enough funding for the game. Cogs were originally called suits. Before Cogs were called Cogs, they were called
Bro, we
suits.
missed.
These suits would be like regular Cogs, but once they died, they would turn into clowns and start
I think
running
I'm
away.
still fine with the
Obviously, Disney
3
did not like
squirt.
this and demanded
Yeah.
they change this. They changed them into robots, but they never mentioned the fact that they were business robots. We actually now have the suit textures for the clown animations and the clowns from Pandora.
The depths.
Toontag Tech Demo. Toontag was a game in Epcot for people to play as Mickey, Minnie, Donald, or Goofy and play tag with them. They had some stuff that would later be ported into Toontown, being the Toon Hall, the fountain, the trolley, the boat, the Disney characters, some of the textures, and some buildings. This has been heavily desired to be found. Not a lot of footage can be found either, only a 5-second clip, but that's really it. Toontag has never resurfaced, and the only things we found was this mercantile building and the beta model for Donald for Toontag that was ported onto Toontown Online. This could be lost forever, considering that running Toontag is extremely old and hard to
Chat,
start up,
Pesto's
according to
come
Jesse
back, I'm
Shell.
scared.
Considering that no one on the team actually has a copy of Toontag, this is considered the holy grail of Toontown media for it to be uncovered. It's possible for Toontag to resurface, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. Where deleted tunes go, the dip. When deleting a tune, it's kind of unknown where they go. They just leave after deleting them. In the movie Roger Rabbit, the dip is something that can kill tunes in Toontown pretty violently. This is definitely a possibility on where tunes go whenever they get deleted, however it seems very violent for Toontown's sake. Yeah, in Roger Rabbit it is canon, but I'll let you decide on where they go when they're deleted, because the dip is just possibly an overkill idea. The origin of Ubers. Ubers have been in the game for a long time, so it's really hard to tell when the first Uber was documented in Toontown. But in 2004, on December 1st, tunes were allowed to avoid the majority of the laugh boosts, allowing them to have a 50-tune laugh Uber with 6 gag tracks. However, some would want to just be a 2-gag Uber with minimum laugh, being 15 laugh, which is the lowest possible. But if I had to guess when I think Ubers started around, I think it was maybe 2003 to 2004ish if I had to guess. Oswald and Pete planned for Toontown. Nothing official was planned for either to my knowledge. Like, there was rumors that Pete was going to have the Doodle area or Goofy Speedway since he had a mechanic shop in Magic Kingdom, but I think why people think these two were planned because they were part of Mickey Mouse's gang. Pete more specifically, but Oswald was the first to have Mickey's design, so he seemed a little less likely. However, it was speculated that he was going to be the candidate for Funny Farms. In Toontown Rewritten as well, it's been speculated that he would have had his own playground called Oswald Oasis. This is definitely not a bad choice when considering a new playground when wanting to continue the tradition with Disney character playgrounds, but only time can tell how that will go for Toontown Rewritten. 5 cog types planned. No 5th position was ever pitched to having a new cog type, however Jesse Shell always thought about adding a tech-related cog with big clunky computers, and a board bot like cog when he kinda said that he thought about it. It was on the top of his head when this user sent him this email, but it's cool to see what he envisioned for a brand new cog type for Toontown. I'm sure they had scrapped ideas for Lawbot, Cashbot, and Bossbot names for the cogs, but I don't know anything about a brand new cog type. Maybe they had a few ideas, but they just never went through with it. What happens to defeated cog bosses? Whenever a cog boss gets defeated, they're destroyed, and a level 50 cog gets promoted into a boss to take over the defeated cog's place in battle. I'm sure this goes on forever and ever for each cog department to make sure that they never go away. E-State's negative emotional aura. I don't know what this is trying to represent, however, this could be of the silence it possibly gives the vibe of that because of the area having no music whatsoever, so this could possibly be the reason why people may get that from. There was music playing that was really upbeat and happy, but it was scratched from the game. It's very lonely in this area, so I guess this could possibly be why. Toontorial and E-State location.
Wait, what was the original music?
These 2 locations are on the outskirts of Toontown. Obviously not to be apparent on the map and out of the area.
I'd never heard this
is on
original
the
music.
Of Toontown Central, since you do have a tunnel leading to it.
Unless I
and
have.
Can be anywhere on the outside
I don't think I have.
of Toontown, not to be shown on the map, but still part of Toontown. World beyond the map. It's very interesting to think. Obviously, I think stuff like Cognation, the E-States, Duckburg, Island of the Lost Gags, and a bunch of other things regarding Toontown, and the cogs are outside of the map. I'm pretty sure there's still stuff there and just things not discovered by the tunes and might need some other way of getting there. Maybe through the manholes, maybe through some other location. However, just like the Doodle Park plan, that wasn't going to be shown on the map. Maybe there's a path, but it's not part of the main area of Toontown since the map shows the main town of Toontown. Toon 1984 Inspiration. Toon is a role-playing game which had books and games from 1984 to 2006. It was a player versus player RPG where you can go against other tunes. I don't know how much they had inspired with this game considered there was very little info about this. However, that doesn't mean that there was some inspiration from this game since Jesse Shell has gotten inspiration for Toontown games with other games. Jesse Shell got inspiration from the Cannon minigame on the trolley from an Atari 2600 game. I'm sure Toontown had a ton of inspiration from all sorts of things and that Toon in 1984 was one of them.
The Abyss.
Thank God we're almost done. Toontown pre-beta screenshots or Toontown Alpha. Finding anything regarding Toontown Online's Alpha days is, to put it short, a miracle since how little we know about Toontown Alpha. It had to have been somewhere around 1999 and 2000 since it went in beta for the first time in 2001. However, we do have 5 screenshots. One with the Toons fighting the suits, one of an old Make-A-Toon, one with the Toons at the playground, one with a Toon on a different looking trolley, and one of an unknown area, marking the first ever picture for Toontown. I'm surprised these were the only ones found, but I'm glad they're here. Honestly, I'm sure there's more out there. There has to be more out there, but these are the only ones we have as of now. Comic Sans Toon name tags. I'm sure during Alpha the team just needed some kind of font, so temporarily they just landed on the characters having Comic Sans for their name tags during Alpha.
Maybe it's
As we
the
all know,
way
they
you're
changed their font in
dressed.
beta, but they had to use this just as a placeholder for the game. Colored gloves without hacks or glitches. So in Alpha, I believe that they gave you the option to give yourself colored gloves in-game. However, what stopped them from
Elite
continuing
Ball
this feature is that they
reference,
wanted
if
them to be
anyone
like
got
the
it.
traditional Disney characters and make them all have white gloves instead of colored
Hi,
gloves.
Festo.
The oldest known Toontown picture. This photo must have been taken very early part of development. And for the fact it was even taken at all surprises me. I'm pretty sure this had to be sent to either Disney or Jesse Shell on how the progress was going on for the
Becca
game.
took
Some of the
Festo
stuff
away.
here looks like it was taken from Toontag, like the tree, the background, and a bit of the
Festo
Toon Hall
died,
tucked
did it?
into the left corner. I'm not sure where this even takes place considering the buildings in the background. There's so many what ifs and how comes to this one photo alone with Toontown. Maybe we won't even know considering it's been 20 years since this was probably taken with the dev team or people involved working on this even remember it at all. Bizarre undocumented in-game events. A very interesting topic to talk about when about the game. I'm sure there's been events for Toontown that have been undocumented, so I can't really give too much details on. However, I can't find anything about something like this. Maybe an event Toontown Online planned, or just something rumored. Maybe this is something that happened during beta or when the game was only out. Maybe this had to do something with Toonfest since the only footage we have is from Disney 365. Other than that, I can't really find anything about this. Unreleased old Toontown documents. As of 2021, the topic
Trap
of
is
Toontown
just not a
documents have
gag. You've
surfaced and have been
turned
discussion
Toontown
ever
into
since
Ubertown.
Toontown Britain brought it up and has Toontown Online documents that have not been released to the public. They have only released a few so far, being these 4, and that's really about it. They said they were planning on being on display for Toonfest 2020, but that got cancelled due to COVID. Still, to this day, the Toontown Online design documents have not been released yet. Some have been uploaded anonymously, and some from previously workers on the game like Felipe Alora giving them out to the public. And finally, lost pre-beta builds of Toontown Online. Us finding anything alpha regarding Toontown seems impossible. The way we found out about Beta 1 was a complete accident after one of the staff members showed off a beta CD that no one knew about. The possibility of us finding anything regarding Toontown Alpha seems
A
very
few
low.
years ago, probably. Let me double check real quick. 5 years ago.
It's sad that most of this will be lost to time, but who knows where this can be. Even Beta 2 of Toontown Online is completely lost, and we still have no idea where that can be. I'm sure if this build was found, it would be a complete miracle, but like Toontag, the chances of us finding anything Toontown Alpha or even Beta 2 seem very low, but it's still very possible. So, it looks like we went pretty deep with the Toontown Iceberg, and honestly, this was a ton of fun to research. Again, quick shout out to Sweet Summer Mash for
Interesting.
making this iceberg, and it was really cool to research all these different topics, and I even learned a few things while making this. But I'm just ready to be done with this because this took forever to make. So, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm going to sleep.
Me too. Excuse me.
I've played Toontown too much.
Real. Let's see if I can find the video you mentioned. It's been a little bit since you said it. That's a clip, that's a clip. Another clip. You might need to repost it, Freckle. I can't find it. Or I'm just blind.
Toontown has definitely had a lot of interesting pieces of merchandise. Like, remember when subscribing to Toontown, they would give you stuff like this? It was pretty cool, since when you subscribe to their game, they would give you stuff like cards and mini magazines, something similar to like Game Informer and Nintendo Power. It was definitely really cool, and I've never really seen any other game do this before. Back in 2003, Disney did something really interesting once you bought a membership to Toontown Online. You would get trading cards and pamphlets in the mail each month. This was pretty cool. You could get cards of your favorite characters and info what's going on through the game physically with these pamphlets. Even though you'd have to wait
Yes,
for the
Becca.
info to come in the mail each month, it was finally cool to actually get it. That's not even scratching the surface with the amount of merch with this game. Pins, posters, bobbleheads, figures, stickers, mouse
that's good for them. What did they name the baby?
Toontown clocks, cameras, notebooks, patches. It was safe to say that Disney was branching out on what they can put Toontown on. Some of the earliest forms of Toontown merch was the Series 1 trading cards Disney would give out. I sadly have no merch of this, but I know you can definitely buy this on Toontown Co. for $10.
Juliana?
That's a lot. However,
Oh, nice.
just looking at its art style, it is way more detailed than Series 2 and 3. With the tunes and cogs here, they look really well done. They would even have some other things like Toontown's greatest moments where it showed some stuff about the game. I also really like the playgrounds especially because I have this weird idea that this was the original vision for the playgrounds. It probably wasn't though, but I really do like the art for it. Series 1 was a pretty cool series, and then a year later, they came out with another one, Series 2. Now, Series 2 goes for a completely new art style, but it is a little less detailed. Now, that's not a bad thing. It looks like a Saturday morning cartoon, if anything. It's definitely something that fits Toontown. While they got rid of the playground cards, these new ones are pretty well
I do
done.
wish
Some
I
actually
got
have
some of the
info on
older
game,
cards.
like
They
the
look
origins
so
of how the
good.
Generator works, monkeys getting introduced,
They look so
where duels
good.
came from, Black Cat Day, and much more. Toonography pretty much continues what Series 1 did with their other cards, like the Shopkeepers. Some I own here are Smudgy Mascara, Shelly Seedlay, and Artichoke.
Alright,
They
where's
aren't
the Claire
anything
Clara
too special,
card?
but it's
I need
definitely
that
cooler
one.
to know about these shopkeepers when we only see them briefly in the game. It's pretty much what Series 2 is known for, pretty much additional information with Toontown in the form of these cards, which I really do like. But if we're talking about Toontown cards, then I'm pretty sure nearly every player owned when they had a subscription to the game was Series 3. Series 1 was ran from 2003 to 2004, and Series 2 was ran from 2004 to 2005. However, Series 3 lasted from 2005 to 2011, so it was pretty much the most well-known. I usually have a ton of these cards because of my sisters who would have a subscription to the game back in the day. The series ditches some things. No more Toontown Greatest Moments, no more Toontown Graphy. However, we just have cogs and gags and fishes. The series cut some corners as well with some of the cards. They would literally just redraw some of the cards from Series 2 to Series 3. Some of these example being the Robber Baron card, the Nurse Shark card, the Devil Ray, the Flower Pot, Magnet, Bamboo Cane, Lipstick, and these are just a handful of examples. Oh my god, I sound like a damn Toontown nerd saying that. Now that's not the entire
Aren't we
series.
all
There
damn
is original
Toontown
artwork for
nerds?
most of these cards, but they did end up cutting some corners from this part. Now the updated cards look way better. However, with each series doing its own newer thing, it kind of feels odd not to do something new. When owning these cards, I try my best to keep them in the best shape possible because some of my cards get damaged pretty easily. Thankfully, I do have duplicates of them, but I didn't get so lucky with some of them. I sometimes wonder how I got like this. Like, why did my telemarketer card look like that? Also, why are there bite marks on my Gladhander card? What, did I bite my cards when I was young? Oh, what, like you guys haven't before? Some
I
of my
did.
newsletters
I
are
did.
definitely in a little bit of weird shape. Like, I think water spilled all over this since you can see a lot of white marks on it. And also with this newsletter, it's being cut up all over the place. And speaking of newsletters, Toontown Online also did stuff with newsletters. Along with the cards, they would give out some pamphlets. In 2004 to 2005, it was just a small piece of paper on one side having info on the next update with Toontown, and the other having a mini poster. This lasted from 2003 to 2006 when they made it much more bigger with 4 pages. They had some new stuff with the pamphlets each side with its own unique thing. The posters here are actual posters, having art of the characters or group shot of
Rubber
the
Baron, can I
characters
please
in
lure
game.
you? No, I
The
can't.
newsletters also had some pretty neat stuff in it. Like, did you know before the Pandora leak they hinted at HD cog textures? Or even here when they hinted that Cog Nation was coming up? It was definitely cool that they were still hyping up the players even though the development was slow. It was kind of a neat moment for players to look forward to. Now going on to other Toontown merch, but I think some of the most well-known is the Flunky Bobblehead. I love it so much, but I just hate how rare it is.
Bro, can you
See,
stop
that's
hitting
probably
Uber
most
Ball?
Toontown merch, or just merch with any old franchise. They aren't produced anymore, and can cause a higher demand with it. Like the Flunky Bobblehead goes for prices like... It's still indeed a very well-made
How much
statue,
was
and has
it?
gained a bit of a cult following for people wanting to own it. We also have the usual suspects when it comes to any IP. Shirts, hat, patches, notebooks, lanyards, drawstring bags, magnets, cameras, clocks. Yeah, clocks, totally something every game IP has. We also have some stuff like stickers, which I did actually get my hands on. I don't know if I'll ever use this anytime soon, but these stickers are very high quality. Of course, with merch, everyone goes to the Toontown CDs produced by Sony back in the 2000s. These were another option on buying Toontown. Rather than installing it through the website and having a membership with it, you could just buy the game and play it from there on the computer. Also, have
I
you
wish
seen the
I got
pins for
that.
this? They look really well done. They had cogs, tunes,
They look
tunes
so
racing.
good.
These were definitely really cool.
They
I
look
really
so
like the
good.
Corporate Raider, Big Cheese, the Bloodsucker, and Flippy especially, because these were really cool. We also had some lesser quality ones as well.
I provided
like a picture
image.
of the VP, Doodles, race
Oh
cars,
my
Lug
God.
Gags, and some other tunes. You might think we're done here, but have you seen the
Wait,
merch
hold on,
from
is that
Toontown
your
in other
image,
regions?
or-
Yeah, Toontown actually has
That's
merch
cool.
in different areas, like Japan. Japan had this sticker sheet, woo, but one of the most notorious things
That's
that was
super
just
cool. Hold on, I'm gonna show that
recently
real quick.
found were these Toontown figures.
Look at this. If that's not nightmare inducing, I don't know what it is.
Now, if we're looking back, Toontown's never really gotten any minifigures in its merch. Probably the closest we've ever gotten was the Flunky Bobblehead. Nobody knew this existed until someone named Green Cat found out about it and bought it himself.
There's no shoes.
Now, the first 3 were just regular Disney characters, Mickey, Minnie, and Donald, but what definitely got everyone's attention was the Yes Man and Flippy figure. It's honestly a miracle he found out about this and even got them himself, since hardly anybody knew about this. Also, they had a different style newsletters. I believe this was for the UK and was called Toon Club. They had way more detail put into them, and they had fun with themselves on what they made with it, since it did look like a lot of attention was put into them. There were tons and tons of merch regarding with Toontown, however, the story sadly comes to an end around 2010 to 2011. In 2010 of January, it was announced that they would be discontinuing the newsletters in favor
Yeah,
of
mint.
Toon News, a digital place to get news from in-game. It definitely seemed like the way of the future, like why produce newsletters when that cost way more money, when you could do something for less cheap in-game. After this, they gave people one last newsletter, being this double-sided poster in May. Yeah, this was the final thing
Oh my
Disney
God.
released regarding the mem-
Him switching to the camera made me jump for a second. Aline made a single player like Toontown. Work in progress, of course. Asterisk, development, asterisk. And it's pretty cool looking. They added in the Final Fantasy 14 critical system, apparently. Self-healing. It's pretty interesting. There's a few other things. The burn gag is real. Apparently, throw now gives Cogs burn, which is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, burn gag real. Burn gag is very much real. Show the thing. I can show it off in a second. We get into a fight with a cutscene. I can do it.
member mailing, and it was definitely a little sad since other companies like Nintendo Power were discontinuing their magazines, and it was a little upsetting since I guess companies just didn't see worth it making these anymore. Around 2011 to 2012, Disney didn't really make that much merch for the game. However, there was some merch in 2013, being the 10th anniversary pin to Toontown Online. I don't think this ever officially got released due to how scarce it is finding one. I've heard there were only a few made and given to select people. Thankfully, it was given to someone who actually collected pins and gave high quality screenshots of them. If I had to guess why this never released, it was probably because around Toontown's 10th anniversary, the game was starting to get a lot less popular, and that same year the game was shutting down. I think around the time the pins were being made, the announcement of Disney shutting down Toontown was about to happen, and they didn't really see the purpose of releasing them in stores. Possibly, I don't know if you would count this, but we had this Toontown Online certificate, probably the last...
Alright, be gone for a second. Alden, I watch this. Let me... Wait, Drob has a status called Freeze? Oh, I think you just showed everything off by this. So, poison. None. Burn, slow, freeze. I think sounds like damage down. Anyway, over here is the critical. It also shows the health and their intentions, which is really cool. And then the critical. Low key, it's actually really cool. Like, that's actually really, really cool for ideas.
Thing officially made by Disney. After the game's closure, they gave this to fans to print out for Toontown closing on September 19th. It was the end with Toontown Online merch, and it was really nice to see all of this cool stuff Disney made for Toontown Online back in the day. But if you think we're done... Yeah, did
There's
you know
a
that
bean
fans were
barrel
making
back
their own
here?
pieces of merch with Toontown? Back in the day, someone named Tricky made people's tunes as statues. They've gotten pretty mixed reviews, but from the videos shown here, they look pretty decent. And
Show the errors.
She's also made doodles
Alright,
as
got
well,
you.
which are the same quality of the statues. Something else people made...
I hear the errors. Seriously, as if the AI servers died due to a coding issue. AI server is fucked. Try again.
were Toontown plushes. You see, Toontown never really had plushes. Sure, there was rumors about a big cheese plush and how people swore in their life that existed, but there's no evidence like that. However, people made their own plushes on Flippy, Cogs, a cat, horses, and they look pretty decent. Like the figures though, they have sold out a little while ago. However, unlike the figures, I actually have one. I don't think I really needed to buy this. It's not the best one ever made, but it's definitely serviceable. One thing I really don't like about it is how the
shit,
pins
Obi
are
wasn't in
falling
there.
down, but it's not really a huge deal. I can just switch them on,
Two are
but
hitting.
Other than that, this is actually a pretty cool fan-made plush. There's also a ton of these fan-made Toontown
might
stuff,
live
like
so long
this
as they don't target
awesome
Malt
Toontown
twice in a row.
Yeah, that's right. There's a ton of these fan-made stuff like shirts, stickers, pins on Redbubble. We have the
What did I
Toontown
just
pins
say?
that were made by Toontown.co. It's pretty well
Thank
made,
you.
like stuff with most modern pins. I really do enjoy it. And finally, well, I don't know if you can really consider this Toontown merch, but it does involve it in a way. The Quackity U2s. Quackity was always someone who was always in the Toontown community but kind of just left a few years ago. But his U2 still has a duck, which was from Toontown. So in a way, it kind of
Quackity.
is, but not really. But it still is pretty cool. After the closure of Toontown Online, some games continue the tradition from Toontown Online with member mailing. Starting off with the most well-known, we have Toontown Rewritten's member mailing. They've had this ever since 2015, and starting off with it, they had Slappy, Alec Tin, and Director of Ambush cards. This was very heavily based on the 2014 elections to Toontown Rewritten. These cards are pretty well done. They try to be a continuation of Disney's cards, calling it Series 4. We also get this sheet of paper, which
I
is
have
basically
the
a thank you for
exclusive
playing the game about the
Toon
election.
Fest
Nothing too
only
great, but it was the
Jesse
start of something
Shell
cool because next
trading
year,
card.
2016, they went a little all out. We have 3 cards, a postcard, and stickers. Flippy is our next card, and I really enjoy this one. It has pretty good art of him, and even a fun fact, that original background was going to be the new Toon Hall for Toontown Rewritten, but it ended up getting scrapped. The Robber Baron is new, and he's looking pretty great. I really enjoy what they did to him, and we even also have Surly as well. We have these stickers, and these look okay, I guess, but very off style with the rest of the stuff here. And we even got this postcard. Same deal with 2017, 18, and even 19. I really enjoy these cards, as everything here is basically what Disney would have done if they continued with the series. However, 2019 was more so for Toontown Rewritten, since it was all just new content from the game, like the Selbot Field Offices, Ricky Morel, the Dr. Fizzentons, and the Laugh Meter.
Oh yeah, the Dr.
I really like that
Fizzentons.
Toontown
I have
Rewritten
that.
goes all out with these things. Like, they didn't have to do this, like the other servers as well, which I'll get into. The stuff they give out is absolutely free. I really do like these mini posters, or whatever you call them, since they've been great ever since 2017. Like the newer stickers they made. If you asked me that this was made by Toontown Online, I might actually believe you. Also, they didn't stop it at member mailing cards, they even did posters ever since 2016. The 2016 one is alright, it's definitely off style for the game, but 2017 was when they made way better ones. They then continue it with updates like 2018 having the field offices, 2019 having the silly meter, and whatever the hell 2020 was. They also made some pretty cool merch with stuff in-game, like a Cogbuck. What also is
The
cool about this
Cogbuck.
is there's this QR code which you can scan it for a scavenger hunt. They also made an actual sticker book.
I
which you
have
can
that.
actually write
I
on.
own the sticker
They
book.
also have stuff like field office magnets. Oh my god. It really comes to show you how much merch they can make off an update that's still being worked on. Then we got some cool stuff like Toontown, poker chips. I mean, I'm down for some Toontown poker. We have some promotions on Reddit and Discord, tattoos. They even had mouse pads and 2 variations of them. One being a regular one and one having a Crash Cashbot mouse pad. And some things that weren't really officially made by Toontown Rewritten is promotions from Ada and this really nice card of Smirky Bumper Pop. I really like how similar this card is to Toontown Rewritten's. As well, we even have a Toontown Rubik's Cube and probably the weirdest one of all, Toontown Rewritten board games. Now, the board game and the Rubik's Cube were something you only had to win in a contest. The board games were Just Find 4, Just Connect 4, Checkers, which had a Toontown Rewritten checkerboard, and probably the most interesting is Guess Toon, a spoof of Guess Who. They all had their own
That's
original
actually really
box
cool.
art, their own original board, and they probably made even more than one of all this just for contests in Toonfest. That's some real dedication. I'm sure there's a ton more with Toontown Rewritten, like the 2020 cards that are probably going to get released next year due to COVID. But they've made so much stuff, and they indeed want to continue what Toontown Online did back in the day. However, Toontown Rewritten wasn't the only Toontown game making physical merch, since other servers were doing it as well. Well, kicking this one off first, Toontown Project Altus did indeed
Project
have some merch,
Altus.
being this certificate for getting something in-game for attending to their I-60 booth. Toontown Extreme.
Wait, they had an IRL
What's a
booth?
Toontown Extreme. Toontown Extreme, duh. I don't even know if this was a server, because I only found a little bit about it. Mugs and clothes. I don't know why, but they did. Toontown Offline actually has some stuff. They made some promotions for Operation Duck Hunt, one having completely original artwork, and one being from in-game, which looks really cool.
And you said Duck
They
Hunt
even
never
made this
came out?
card in the style of Toontown Online, based off the chairman. I gotta hand it to them, this looks really well done, very close to Toontown Online Series 3 cards. And finally, we have this poster that was originally shown off on Twitter, and I thought as a joke it would be funny to say that I really wanted this badly, and the joke was on me when they actually gave me one. Well, first off, thank you Benjamin for sending me this. This actually looks really cool. Second, this is a really bizarre yet very cool piece of merch I own from Toontown. This poster really does describe the craziness of Toontown Offline and what you can do with it. Finally, we have Toontown Corporate Clash. Now, they tried their hand on reviving the newsletters, but they only did it once with one issue and it was only digital, so I really don't know if you can really count that. However, for their Operation Break the Law update, they actually had some giveaways they did.
This was
How you
before
would
the
win was
plushies.
by getting tickets and from giving them to Tutorial Tom. I swear, I tried for weeks and weeks to get tickets to win.
No,
but
they
I really had
didn't.
no luck. They had
The
some
only physical
prizes,
corporate
being
clash
prize
stuff
pack 1
was the plushies,
of
if I
one
remember
so far.
correctly.
This pack included a mini poster from Operation Break the Law. There's also this sticker sheet with the tunes a part of Break the Law, Loopy's Meatballs, and a Break the Law postcard. But we most certainly can't forget question mark, and that basically wraps up nearly every piece of Toontown merch out there, whether they were made by Disney, fans, or people that were fans wanting to keep the specialty of having modern Toontown merch. To put it simple, it's very fascinating the amount of merch for this game.
Yep,
They
Loopy's
range from
balls.
cards to clocks to board games. It was really nice to look over the amount of Toontown merch that was either made or I own because 1, it's a friendly reminder of why I probably still get bullied in high school, and 2, It's always really nice to collect something of your favorite series, whether it be Club Penguin, Five Nights at Freddy's, Minecraft, Funko Pops, anime figures, books, whatever. It's always really nice to collect something of something you really do enjoy, and as long as it's harmless, I'd say go for it. However though, when I was at Toonfest, I took, more than I was supposed to take with field office cards. I have like 1 million of them. I'm sorry, Joey.
I'm sorry, Joey. That's funny. Let's see. Is there any other fun history long form videos? Let me quickly do this. About Laugh Olympics? You know what? Sure, why not? Well, I dislike the Laugh Olympics. That's valid. Sure, why not?
Hey everybody, it's me, Anthony, and today
Let's turn
I
into
just
a
love wasting
Watch
time.
Anthony
Go to
stream.
everybody here, and they'll know I love to waste time. But as of recently, I ran out of things for me to waste time on. Man, if only there was something stupid for me to do. Finally, something stupid for me to do! If I wanted to do something worth my time, I'd go out play baseball with my non-existent friends. But come on, it's getting a little.
He's basically like the
cold here, and
Toontown
there's
Scott the
too much to
Woz.
do. So now I can waste my time on a computer screen for 12 hours straight. Whoa. But this time I'm not gonna grind on Toontown Corporate Clash for 12 hours straight. And there's only one thing I have on my mind, and it's getting a gold in-game shirt. But if I'm gonna want to get to anywhere to 115, I have to go prepare.
Yeah, he's literally just the real life Scott the Woz. Or the Toontown Scott the Woz, I should say.
Well, I think I'm ready. I think all of this should last me for a whole month. Got lots of coffee, lots of snacks, candy, soda. So now, let's start the event! Are you kidding me? The Laugh Olympics was an in-game event for people to get a certain amount of laugh to get some cool prizes. There were 2 events, being in
Alright, I'll be right back.
2017 and one in 2019. One of them was for
You
the
guys
release
watched
of
the
version
video.
200 for Toontown Written, and one of them was just for a Winter Laugh Olympics. I participated in both of these, and I found them to be very boring. Here's why. Having a strict deadline to finish Toontown just really isn't fun. It's also not helping that this game is really grindy as well. So let's take a look at back in the time I participated in the Laugh Olympics. So in 2017, when I made videos like this,
Today we're going to be doing something different that I not normally do on my channel.
Toontown Rewritten had announced their brand new update showing Deer and Croc tunes. They
Alright,
also
let
announced
me
that they
do
would
this
be
real
doing
quick.
a brand new event called the Laugh Olympics.
Alright.
Dozens of people have joined this.
Watch, I'm
with
gonna
cool
get shoes on. I'm like
prizes, and
AFK for a second.
the prizes were definitely something, alright. So, at 50 laugh, you get a bronze shirt, you get jelly beans, and some Toonfest tokens. Alright, that's a pretty good reward. But then things get really bad with the silver. You get a silver shirt, and you get a phrase. Wow. But wait, it gets even better! You get a gold shirt, but wait, get this. A Toontown prize pack with a poster, drawstring bag, trading cards. Oh, but no, you don't win this, you gotta enter a contest. So, I entered a contest, and I won the contest just to enter in another contest? I don't know why they only did one person, because I know Toontown Rewritten still had a lot of those laying around after Toonfest, since I remember when the event was done, they still had a lot of leftover cards and merchandise. And again, you're still not even guaranteed to win.
No shoes.
And that would have been a nice reward, since a lot of people work their butt off
Alright.
to get to 150. Since that's a really hard
Been
goal.
2 hours. I'm gonna have to call it here because I need to get to bed, and I'm being summoned to end stream. So still no shoes.